about consumer perception of beef quality. So what are the things that consumers look for when they go to the meat case in terms of quality? Well, we eat with our eyes first, obviously, so appearance is very, very important in the meat case. And the first thing they're going to look at typically is color, and then texture, and also, depending on the type of cut, muscle to bone ratio, and also lean to fat is really important for consumers too, most consumers. And then the packaging itself can sometimes play a role in how that's perceived. It's important to state that consumers most often make their initial purchasing decision based on the color more than any of those other factors. So they want to see that nice, bright cherry red color is what most consumers want to see in their beef products that they're purchasing. Now, palatability is also important in the way consumers perceive beef quality. Palatability encompasses tenderness, juiciness, and flavor. Tenderness, there can be a lot of animal-to-animal variation, meaning there's more difference within a specific breed of cattle than there is between breeds. There's a lot of variation in tenderness because there's so many factors that play a role in tenderness and how that's perceived. And it's unfortunately, or kind of unfortunately, is that it's the #1 determinant of customer satisfaction. If a customer has an enjoyable eating experience in terms of tenderness, they're probably more than likely not going to purchase that product again. And so that's what, if it's a very tender product and it can be guaranteed a tender product, then that'll, likely they'll purchase that product again. The thing that's kind of hard for the industry, or kind of a challenge, is that marbling is a very poor predictor of tenderness. But remember, that's what we base our quality grade on, is marbling. And so it's kind of a challenge. It'd be ideal if the industry could have something that would tell us at line speed, which is very fast, how tender that carcass is, how tender those cuts are going to be that are coming from that carcass. But unfortunately, that hasn't been invented yet. There are ways to measure that, but they're not at line speed, and it's a challenge. Juiciness is influenced by a couple of things. Obviously, degree of doneness, how high of a temperature you get that product to is going to play a huge role in how juicy that product is, as well as the fat content. That marbling within the muscle, it gives some lubrication and obviously produces some tenderness for that product. Juiciness. Flavor is also obviously influenced by cooking method. If it's a fairly dry product, that's going to cause it to taste a little bit different. Degree of doneness again. There's also the age of the animal can have a difference. Older cattle tend to have a stronger flavor than beef from cattle that are younger. The animal's diet can also play a role in, depending on what they're fed and how they'll taste. The amount of marbling, again, obviously fat is good, right, for flavor. The more fat there is, the higher the flavor is going to be. Now also, sometimes where the cut comes from in the carcass, the front quarter tends to have a more beefy flavor. Products that come from the front quarter will have a stronger beefy flavor versus those that come from the hind quarter.